This is a speech given by Steve Jobs at graduation ceremony at Stanford University on June 2005. Steve Jobs was a CEO of Apple Computers and Pixar Animation Studios. I'm honored to be here with you today at your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. I have never graduated from college. Truth be told, this is the closest that I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 2 stories from my life. That's it, no big deal, just 2 stories. My first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of the Reed College after the first 6 months. So why did I drop out? It all started before I was born. My mother was a young, unwed college graduate, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She strongly believed that I should be adopted by college graduates. So everything was all set up for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, that were on the waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We have an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother later on found out that my mother had never graduated from high school and my father had never graduated from college. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only related several months later when my parents promised that I would someday go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college, but I naively chose a college that almost was as expensive as Stanford, and all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months of studying, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and I didn't understand how the college is going to help me figure that out. So I decided to drop out and help and hope that it's all going to work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but it turned out that dropping out of the college was one of the best decisions I have made in my life. By dropping out of the college, I stopped taking the required courses that didn't interest me and started to dropping in on the ones that looked interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room to sleep, so I slept on the floor in my friends' rooms. I gathered Coke bottles for 5 cents deposits to buy food with, and walked 7 miles every Sunday evening across the city to get 1 good meal per week at Hare Krishna Temple. I loved it. Reed College offered perhaps the best calligraphy course in the country at that time. Every poster, every label on every drawer across the campus was beautifully hand calligraphed. So I decided to drop in on that course to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif, about varying the space between the different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. That didn't have even a tiny hope of any practical application in my life at that time. But it all became very clear 10 years later when we were designing our first Macintosh computer. And we designed it all into the Mac. If I haven't dropped in on that single course in college, it might have been that Macintosh would never have the beautiful typefaces that they do now. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it might have been that no personal computer would never have them. I couldn't see it in college, but 10 years later, it became very, very clear. You cannot connect the dots by looking forward. You can only connect them by looking backward. And you have to trust that the dots will somehow reconnect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I love to do early in life. When I was 20, Woz and I were designing our first designs with Apple in my parents' garage. We worked hard, and in 10 years, we grew just from 2 of us to a $2 billion company with more than 4,000 employees. We had just released our finest creation, Macintosh, and I had just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as we were growing, we hired someone that I found to be very talented to run company with. And at first several years, everything was going quite nice, but then our vision started to diverge. And eventually we had a falling out. When we did, the board of directors sided with him, and I was out. I was a very public failure. I thought about running away from the valley. But something started to slowly dawn on me. I still loved what I did. I didn't see it then, but being fired from Apple was one of the best things that happened in my life. It freed me. I changed the heaviness for being successful to the lightness of being a beginner again. And I've entered one of the most creative periods in my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company called Next and another company called Pixar. Pixar released the first computer-animated film called Toy Story. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, I returned to Apple, and I met a wonderful woman who would later become my wife. This would have never happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. This was an awful taste in medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. And the only thing that kept me going all those years, I think, is that I loved what I did. You've got to find it what you love. And this is true for your work as it is for your lovers. Work will always fill the large part of your life, so you have to find what you love, what you think is a great work. And the only way to do a great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. When I was young, in mid-60s, there was a great publication called The Whole Earth Catalog. It was like a Google in paperback form, filled with wonderful, neat tools and great notions. In mid-70s, they released their final issue. And on the back cover, there was a beautiful morning country road and words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." That was their farewell message to the world. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.